every time when you go up the harmonic series, if anybody is interested, there's like a musical representation of what the notes actually are in the harmonic series. But it's basically like every like 1 and then like 2, 4, 8, and 16 are all octaves. Like, so it's all like the same note. The 3, 6, 9, or yeah, at least 3, 6, and 9 are fifths, I think. So, and then 5 is like a major third. I think 15 is also a major third, like 2 octaves above or something like that. But the more important thing is just like how it sounds. It's you were in high school band, so like the analogy here is like the notes in the harmonic series are the same notes that a trumpet can play with using no valves.
Oh, okay. Oh yeah,
So
C and G and C again.
yeah, so on a trumpet you actually can't hit like the true root note because you're playing up in the higher parts of the harmonic series. Like it probably starts at the second octave where you can actually get the root, the third, and the fifth. That's why like taps and like all of those march songs, they all use like just the notes of a major chord because you can get a really clear C and E and G or whatever key if it's a B flat trumpet, B flat, D, and F, just from these notes in the harmonic series. So if anybody wants to know more stuff about the harmonic series, like let me know. It might have been useful, but I also wrote a couple of blogs about it. So yeah, so 6, this one should be, I think, a major third. Oh gosh. Oh, right. 40, 50. There's our major third. So this would be like, those would be like the 3 notes that you could play on a trumpet with no valves. So you're already up in the 4th and 5th and 6th notes of the harmonic series. You actually can't play that on a trumpet. It's the instrument, like there's too many valves and stuff like that. So, but yeah, I guess the wave synth is a trumpet.
There you go.
That's really what we've learned.
I like how you picked the one brass instrument that I ever played.
Oh, really? Yeah, I couldn't really. I've tried to play a couple of different, a couple of different brass instruments. I kind of like trombone.
Trombone's cool.
The embouchure for trumpet was like I couldn't deal with it.
Yeah. You have sore cheeks after a little while.
Mm-hmm. I guess the idea with the French horn is that like the original French horns had no valves, so like the pipes were so long that the notes that you were playing were extremely high up in the harmonic series, and like the way it works is like the higher you get, the closer the notes are together. Like you see at the beginning, it's like a whole octave apart, and then a fifth, and then like a fourth and a third and whatever. And then by the time you get to the very top, it's like less than like a semitone or a half step apart. Like you're getting like tiny differences of notes. So like that's how they would play all of these different notes. Anyways, point, we can only get the first, so you've got nothing at 0, and the first, second, third, fourth, blah 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 blah, up to the 15th. So which is, well, that's all the way up, but I actually want to be here, which is this, or we should technically be able to get a little bit more, yeah, but that's about all we can do. So as you're working your way like in between these, it's just kind of going to mix them together. So it's probably a clearer illustration to go back down here so you can see what happens in between like 1 and 2. So here's 1 with a lot of cutoff on it. Sorry for my... And then as you go over here, the waveform kind of adds a little bit more of this second into it until it kind of like morphs into the second one. and then etc. So, all right, let's see. That might be. Oh yeah. Let's do this with the square wave. So we're starting into low pass. We're going all the way down. Oops, we've got our first overtone here. We can make it a little louder probably. We've got our second overtone. Oh wait, no we don't. We don't have a second overtone here because the square wave only has the odd harmonics in it. So we don't see another wave until we get up to 30. Oops. Do we? 40? Ah, 40. Maybe it's 0, 20, 40. Maybe it's only the even ones. Sometimes I forget. And yeah. Oh, I think what happens is that it's... Yeah, it might just be offset. Sorry. So you can kind of see that, like, it looks like a square wave, but it's not, doesn't really, like, it looks like almost a square wave. It doesn't really
trying
sound
to be
like
a square wave.
Yeah, it's we're on our way. 60. So, one of the things that sometimes I like to do is I like a lot of times, I mean, of course, don't get me wrong, square waves sound great. I like them a lot for basses because I feel like they have this kind of like hollow sound to them, which is kind of like a really nice open sound. And I mean, it kind of harmonizes well with the pulse channels in general.
I like them for bass too, but it's so funny that you said hollow because I was thinking, yeah, they sound so full and rich.
Yeah, I mean, they do. And like, I think part of the reason that they sound so full is because when you have those, like, when you have fewer harmonics, but you're playing it at a lower register, like at a low octave, you're not clogging up all of the higher frequencies with all these other harmonics that are happening in the sound. Like you're cutting half of them out.
Yeah.
Yeah, I saw this from Dogs Plus Plus. Hi, Dogs Plus Plus. I've always wondered how a wave just doesn't have some harmonics. It's pretty crazy to think about because like it's some physics thing like where clarinets and like reed instruments, pipe organs, I think too. Just the way that the pipes are constructed means that the wave is like naturally formed that way, which is pretty wild. So yeah, that's pretty crazy. It is wild. I don't really understand it, but I took a physics class in college that was like physics for musicians. So like we didn't learn any of the like real math or anything, but it was actually kind of similar to like what I'm explaining now about how waves interact and stuff like that. So it was really interesting. This is like where I learned a lot of this stuff and how I learned about waveforms. I would definitely recommend if you ever get a chance to take a physics class for musicians. Don't be intimidated because it's really fun. We would have like, he would play like 2 different sine waves out of 2 speakers like that were slightly off in frequency and have us walk around the room and like hear how it changed in our ears, because like kind of like what I showed you about when you have these different sine waves and like one of them is off, you know, by a bit such that like you get this, the technical term is called like constructive interference when they're at the same like they're both, you know, positive, and then it's called destructive interference when like one is negative and one is positive. So like you get to hear this different interference over the room. I don't know, it's weird. It's kind of like binaural beats, except for like you're playing it out of speakers instead of headphones. Really cool. Anyways, now see, I'm off track. You're supposed to be keeping me on track.
Sorry. Thinking about physics, and I thought, well, maybe.
Feel like, yeah. So okay, yeah. So we did talk about that for like we talked about this earlier, but I'm happy to demonstrate it again. Oh yeah, that's nice. That's what I wanted. Let's take off my lovely modulation here, which is very cool. And the little filter that I have over here, let's just disable it. So we were just looking at this like graph of all the different harmonics, and like here's the sawtooth, and then here's the square. Fewer, but still rich, and then here's the sine. So yeah, none. It's literally none. It's the purest tone that you can hear. That's why I like sine. And then for the heck of it, let's just I have a triangle wave here, and you can see the difference. So like it has some. I think that a triangle and a square are actually, they have the same harmonics. Let's see. The only difference is the power, like the amplitude. So the triangle harmonics are like, I don't know, maybe half as loud as the ones in the square. So like they exist, but they're just not as loud as the ones in the square. But they're kind of similar waveforms. But that's why like sine wave and triangle wave are so good for bass, because they don't get in the way of the higher frequencies in the mix. They just like send that like pure bass energy, right to that low note. And like it's really effective and can sometimes be like scary. if you've never heard your songs like played live through a subwoofer and you're like all of this like sine wave and like triangle wave, like very pure sound like right in the bass, it's like that's pretty cool.